Okay, now. All right. I think we are live once again. Thank you so much for coming here this evening or whatever time you are watching and or listening to this. Listen, I am Marshawn Olanio and I am super excited to start on day 24. I cannot believe that we are almost finished with this 30 days of how to be a better dater series. I'm super excited. So thank you so much for coming here this evening. So, today we are talking about building emotional safety in your relationship and why feeling secure actually matters in your relationship. It really does matter. It really does make a difference. And so, we're going to talk about that today. So, as you know, for these past 30 days, we have been talking about several different topics out there. And we have been really just taking a deep dive into what it looks like to be a better dater, not blaming, shaming, or trying to really go deeper into somebody else. We've been really focusing on ourselves and how we've been showing up and taking notes and journaling and taking a deeper dive into you. You have been taking a deeper dive into you. I have been setting up this content so we can take a deeper dive into what it looks like to be a better dater in 2025. No longer are we accepting mediocre behavior and or habits. No longer are we putting out mediocre in our relationships. We are setting ourselves up for a win, and you want to do better in order to attract better. You want to do better in order to be better. So that's what we are doing, and that's what is actually happening today. So I want to specifically talk about this because I'm super excited to be here with you. So let's go ahead and jump into it and building emotional safety and why it's so important for your relationship in the first place. So, before we jump into that, let's talk about what emotional safety actually is. Emotional safety is the feeling that you can express your true self with your partner. You can express your thoughts, you can express your feelings and your experiences, right? Without the fear of feeling like you are being judged or there is some criticism that's going to come along with it, and or you being rejected by your partner. So that is what emotional safety is. When you are building emotional safety in your relationship, you are literally laying the foundation to say, hey, without saying these words, but you're saying, hey, you are safe here with me. You can be who you are, flaws and all. You can show up and just be yourself. You don't have to pretend around me. You don't have to make it seem like you are something that you are not when I am around. Come here as you are, as they say in church, come as you are, flaws and all. Take off your mask, settle into your seats, and let's have some conversations. Let's be around one another. Let's see if this is something that we want to build together with one another. So that's what emotional safety actually is. Now, research actually shows that 79% of individuals insecure and emotionally safe relationships report higher overall relationship satisfaction compared to those without such security. So that's 79%. This is why this is so important. It's really high on the Richter scale of what you should be bringing to your relationship and what you should be trying to attain in your relationship. Couples also have reported that when they are in emotional safety spaces in their relationship, that they are 50% more likely to open up and share their feelings as well as resolve conflict effectively. So just think about that. If you are in an emotionally safe relationship, you feel more compelled to open up. You feel more compelled to show who you are. You feel more compelled to share your experiences with your partner. So just remember that you are bringing something to the table, and you are trying to add to the relationship versus always taking from it. You want to add. So this is an add. This is emotional safety net, not only for your partner, but once you start setting the foundation for you to feel like you're setting the foundation for him to feel like he is emotionally safe around you. Now he can start to let down his guard and become emotionally safe with you as well. Somebody has to step up and take the first step and put your vulnerability, fears slash face out there for them to be a part of and join you on this journey. So you have to be willing to put yourself out there. But just remember, by putting yourself out there, this is where the deeper connections come into play, where the both of you feel like you're coming more together versus apart, where you feel more understood in your relationship, and your partner is able to give you some grace and mercy because they have actually said, okay, I remember she told me that she is weak in this area. She has some flaws in this area. And so I'm able to give her some grace and mercy in this area versus just popping off right at the mouth, him not understanding why you popping off at the mouth, you not being able to articulate why you popping off at the mouth, and being able to say, you know what, this is, I'm a little weak in this area. I'm a little weak here. And it's okay. It's okay that you can't say that I'm a little weak here, but that's why we are talking about dating and how you can become a better dater, because it absolutely does matter. It does matter the way that you are showing up and how you are presenting yourself to the other person. So now, why does building emotional safety matter, and why is it important? Number one, it sets a foundation for intimacy, for connection. This is where deeper connections absolutely happen. This is where they happen. And your vulnerability, which are the cornerstones for a thriving relationship. They're the cornerstones for a thriving relationship. So this sets the foundation when you are able to create an emotionally safe space, and your partner is also playing a part in creating the emotional safe space as well. Another thing, the second thing, is that it encourages authenticity, where you can show up and just be who you are. When you feel safe, you don't feel like you have to hide behind a wall of protection of yourself. You feel like you can just show up and just be. You feel like you can just be around your partner on one of your ugly days, in your ugly moments. You can do that, and that's okay. That should be allowed in your relationship. You should feel secure enough to just be. Let your hair down. Take your braids out, right? They should be able to see you literally combing your braids out, and you still feel safe in that relationship. They should see you without your wig. They should see you without your full face. They should see you without your nails and eyelashes and anything else that you are doing to enhance your appearance. At some point, they should be able to see you without any of those things, and still fall in love with you. Right? So building emotional safety is not only for him, it's also for you as well. So the both of you together can take your mask off. So the both of you together can take your mask off. And that is what you want in your relationship. The third thing is that it has a reduction in misunderstandings. There is a reduction in misunderstandings when you create a safe an emotional safe space. Yes, yes, absolutely. Open and honest communication fostered by emotional safety minimizes misinterpretations, and it builds a stronger bond. So when you do this, you minimize the misunderstandings just by creating a space of safety. Okay? The fourth part of it is that it supports your mental health. It supports your partner's mental health when they have a safe space to come and talk about all of the baggage that they have in their life, that they had throughout the day, all of the rough things that got under their skin, all of the things that made them feel sad, all of the things that made them feel angry and mad, and they didn't take action on those things. And so now they're able to come home and share these things with you. Okay? So you want to understand that not enough people talk about mental health. Not enough people are talking about mental health. Yes, they're talking about it more, but even more people need to talk about their mental health and the state that they are in, because it matters to others on the outside looking in, watching your life. And then they may see you on social media, and all of a sudden something has happened to you, or you have taken your own life because you were not taking care of your own mental state. So emotion, being in emotionally safe space, it matters on a larger scale. And as I already mentioned, 79% of couples that are in their relationships, when they have an emotional safety space with their partner, then they actually have a higher sense of relationship satisfaction, which is absolutely something that each of us needs. So, who am I and why should you listen to me? Well, thanks so much for coming. As I already mentioned, I'm Marshawn Olanio, and I serve professional Black women and help them to show up differently in all of their relationships, using tailored strategies depending on where they're at, so they can cultivate beautiful, loving, happy relationships. And I say relationships because most people think about the romantic relationship. That is and it does play a part. However, the relationship with yourself is one of the most important relationships that you should have a wonderful relationship with. You, the person that you look at every single day in the mirror, you should have a beautiful relationship with that person before you invite somebody into your world and into your life to try to build a life with. Because at some point, if you don't have a beautiful relationship with you, then guess what? At some point, that romantic relationship will crack, it will fall, because you have to be secure enough with yourself. You have to understand your worth. You need to be able to speak up and articulate the things that you want, need, and desire. You need to be able to set and enforce boundaries. There are a lot of things that go into being a big girl in an adult relationship, and not many of us got taught these things while we were growing up, which is why you have so many relationship coaches out there. But let's be real, every relationship coach is not equal. Okay, we are not all equal. And so you want to work with a relationship coach that understands your needs, that understands your wants, that understands you. And so if you are a Black professional woman, I can help you. Been there, done that, dating, marriage, everything in between, situationships, like all of the things. I have been there and done that. You are not alone. So I am not here to judge you, but I am here to get you to wake up, get you to see that you do have some flaws, get you to see that you do have some areas in which you can become better in. This is why we're talking about how to become a better dater, because most of us have a tendency to keep pointing the finger, and you don't want to keep pointing the finger at the other person. You really want to, those fingers that are pointing back at you, when you're pointing the finger, these fingers back here that's pointing at you, these are the areas, these are the things that you want to embrace, and the areas that you want to say, okay, there's something to this. This is not the first time somebody has pointed this particular area of weakness of mine out. So I need to take heed. I need to listen. I need to lean into that and really take a deep dive into why it's my habits. Why are my behaviors? Why are things not going the way that I would like them to go? So you have to take a deeper dive. Now, back to the subject at hand. Here's why your feelings matter. Here's why your feelings matter. Number one, they often reveal your unmet needs and your areas that you need to grow in, which is similar to what I was just talking about. Pointing the finger at other people, you got other fingers pointing back at you. What are your areas of weakness? What areas do you need to grow in? What lessons did you learn from your previous relationships? What areas do you need to tighten up on so you can become better? So when the next relationship comes, the next date comes, you can be ready. You can feel more solid. You can feel more secure about the conversation that needs to be had, what you want out of the relationship, what you want out of the dating, before you even think about getting into the relationship with the person. So you can go with clarity. Because the clearer you are about the things that you want, about the things that you desire, about your worth, about the things that you're not willing to deal with, about all of the lessons that you have learned from previous relationships, all of that stuff matters. When you go out there, now you have a clear picture of what you do want, as well as what you're not willing to deal with any longer. In your 20s, you dealt with some things that you didn't deal with in your 30s. In your 20s and 30s, you dealt with some stuff that you're not willing to deal with in your 40s and even beyond. So you have to be able to say, you know what? I haven't dated in a while. And or the person that I really want to date has not asked me to date. I have to be okay with that. I have to know that I'm still worthy whether I am in a romantic relationship or not. I have a relationship with myself. I have a relationship with my child or children. I have a relationship with my friends. Romantic relationships are great when they're great. If you have a good relationship, you want it to be great. If you have a mediocre one, you want to at least try to get it to good. The point is, you don't want to only define yourself as a person that needs to be in a romantic relationship to feel that you are worthy. You are more than worthy. You do deserve, but you have to be willing to know what you want and ask for that thing. See, a lot of us go downhill when we think that the other person should just know. Oh, he should just know how to treat me. Well, that's not true because he's just starting to get to know you. What he did for one person, as well as yourself, the things that you did in your previous relationship where you got kudos and accolades and hand claps and praises, may not work in this particular relationship, which is why we have to slow down and really get to know the person, which is why you have to ask the questions. And when you do something wrong, air quotes there, on purpose, because what you're doing is what worked for you. What he is doing is what worked for him. And now you have to see if the things that the both of you are willing to do and or shift about yourself is going to work for the relationship. All of this matters. This is why emotional safety matters. Is all of it is intertwined together. Another reason why your feelings matter is because it fosters empathy and understanding, drawing the two of you closer. Again, we're not trying to get the distance, we're trying to bring closeness. Not just today, not just in the beginning, not when the butterflies are in our stomach or anything. You want it throughout the relationship. You want it throughout the relationship, but you have to be able to cultivate these things in the beginning. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to understand that being vulnerable is a strength and not a weakness. Being able to understand the other person is very important. It is very important to foster a healthy relationship. Them being able to understand you is healthy in order to foster a healthy, loving relationship. All of this matters. All of this matters. So, another reason why your feelings matter in the relationship is because it promotes healing. When you feel acknowledged and validated, your old wounds have a chance to start sealing up and healing, closing for good, not just having the scab on it. And then whenever the person says something and or does something that doesn't sit right with you, you're scraping that scab off and you're opening the wound back open. That's not what you're trying to do. In order to promote healing, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. You have to feel like you are validated in that relationship. You have to feel like you're heard. You have to feel like you're understood. And it's not just for you. All the things that you need, he needs those things as well. It's not just one sided. If you're asking for these things, then you need to be willing to give these things. You can't just ask for them. You have to be willing to give them as well. Okay. So now, the fourth reason why your feelings matters is because it equips you to make better, more aligned choices for the life that you want, for the relationship that you're trying to cultivate. Right? So understanding that, oh man, this feels good. I actually want more of this. Being able to say, you know what, you did great today. I saw you when you was talking to the waitress and how engaged you were and how you looked her in the eye and how you gave her a really good tip. All of those things matter. Like, that was really sexy. That made me like you even more. Even being able to just say that, like putting yourself out there to say, I like you even more by doing that. All of it matters. Now he can lean into you a little bit more. He feels a little bit more like, okay, I can be myself around this person. Okay. He wants to create and make the date before you leave, right? All of those things matter when you can create the date before. I remember when I was dating, and this is how I knew when the guy actually liked me, is because when I was out there and I was dating, and he was like, you know what, When is the next time I can see you again? And I had to think, I had to pause because all of these things that I teach was the very things that I had to learn myself before I can teach them. And so I was out there, I was asking the questions, I was gathering my data, I was doing this, doing that, and we were just having fun. I didn't take more than three questions out there. I was just having a good time. We were laughing and joking. The atmosphere was fun. I kept it up, right? And not just for the play. Like I actually like having fun. I talk on here serious because I know I can be serious, but I like to have fun. I like to laugh and joke and giggle and just be goofy and just enjoy life. That's me outside of the camera. But we were just having a really good time, and he was like, "Yeah, so when can I see you again?" But he did it while we were still on date number one. And then he did it on date number two again. He made another date before we left. And so that kept happening and it progressed the relationship. And it obviously it felt good, but it was just all about me understanding what the worth that I'm bringing to the table, him understanding that he felt good while he was with me. And what's that old saying? People don't remember what you did for them, but they always remember how you made them feel. Maybe I'm paraphrasing, but the point is, when people make you feel good, you want to be around them. Like, even think about this in your friendships. Even think about this in your friendships. The friends that you really like to be around, they make you feel good. They make you feel secure about yourself. And they make you feel like you can go and do whatever it is that you're bringing to the table. Now, the flip side of that is this: if you are in friendships with friends, men and women, whomever, that do not make you feel heard, that do not push you to the next level, that do not, cheer for you and oh my God, you did this and like sincerely happy for you, not like frenemy happy, where in your face they're happy, but behind your back, they're stabbing you in it. No, if you don't have friends that are pushing you to the next level, that are helping you grow in your life, then it's time for you to start changing your friendship circle. It's just the same with your romantic life. It's not 100% equal because you can do things in romantic life that you can't do in your friendship life. I get that. So it's not equal, but again, just think about the relationships that you want to have in your life, in your circle. Your friends should make you feel good, just like making them feel good. Your partner should make you feel good, just like you are feeding life and love into him as well. Creating an emotional safe space really does lay the foundation for the two of you to be able to feel even more connected, even more in depth with one another, versus doing something for the moment and then not thinking about the other person at all. Like, once you leave, you're gone. That's not the type of relationship that you want. And or when it's time for you to say, I need something, air quotes, I need something, whatever that something is, you don't want them to walk the other way. You want them to lean in. You want them to say, okay, I actually want to help you, not because I feel obligated to help you. I want to help you because you are good people. I want to help you because you help me. And not, it doesn't even have to be the same thing. Maybe this time you're asking for money, but the way that you helped them before was to make him feel safe. Maybe nobody's ever made him feel safe. So emotional safety, being able to get the man to open up to you more than one time, you'll be able to do that the more that you make the space safe. I remember I had a client, and she was telling me, like, I was talking to my man, and before he used to tell me some things, and now I feel like he don't share the same type of things with me. Like, what is that about? And so the first thing I asked her was, how often did you flame his fire? Meaning, how often did you breathe life into whatever the topic was? So maybe he was talking to her about his goals, and maybe she shut him down. Like, why would you think you can do that? Why would he come back to you? We want the positive energy, not the negative energy. So if you want your man to continuously share with you and be open with you, you have to remember to create this safe space. It's not hard to do, but you do have to be intentional about you creating the space. When you put yourself out there and create this safe space, now he's going to feel like, I can just be me with her. Have you ever noticed, and and I don't have research about this, but I've talked to several men about this. So what am I talking about? Men, they have A fine man, let me put it this way, whatever your definition of fine is, a fine man that you can think of, and the woman on his arm is mediocre, what you deem as mediocre. She not flashy. She don't wear a whole lot of makeup. Her clothes not even fly or whatever the terminology is. And you're like, how in the hell did she get him? And he is just doting all over her. He's doing everything that he can do with her for her, making her feel like she's the most beautiful and the only woman in the room. Why is that? Well, what I ask men about that is she allowed him to be him. He didn't feel like he had to wear a mask with her. He didn't feel like he had to perform for her. And as a result of that, he started to lean into her. He started to get to know her. He started to really fall for her just because she was able to create an emotional, safe space for him to just be him. He showed up as a hero, but he didn't have to be her hero, right? She allowed him to just come over in his sneakers or whatever. I was gonna say sneakers and slacks, but jogging suit and sneakers, and just come chill, hang out. What are we doing? Instead of always, I'm not saying never get up and go get dressed and go out on a date. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is just giving you an idea of why the mediocre looking type of woman has this fine dude. I'm even take it even further. You have the man that has this chiseled body, and then you have a woman that's not super chiseled. I'll say it that way. The same thing. He felt safe and secure in her company. She's real with him, but don't get it twisted. She still has standards. She still sets boundaries and enforces them. Once the relationship, when they're friends, if when they just friends, she's just being his friend. She's just being there for him. She's just listening his ear. She's allowing him to share his life, sharing his woes, laying his burdens down, if you will. I know I went off on a tangent, but that's why your feelings matter. So, how do you build emotional safety? I get it. Let's move on. How do you build this emotional safety? You have to be consistently reliable. Consistently reliable. That this does not mean that you are showing up every waking hour of the day and you are giving all your time, energy, and effort over to said guy. That's not what I'm saying. Especially when there's no title there. You're just trying to see if that's somebody that you want to do all this stuff for. But if and when he has passed the test, now you're like, yes, you have to be consistently reliable with him to be able to share his world with you, his secret world, the world that he doesn't even share with his boys. Like I talk to so many men. I don't coach a lot of men, but I do talk to a lot of men, and they consistently say the same thing, which is, I don't have a lot of and or none male friends to talk like this to. We're not really sharing our vulnerable pieces of ourselves. We're laughing, we're talking about all the stuff that we want to do, all the women stuff, we talking about our hair, we talking about the game, but the deep connections, the being vulnerable, the showcasing themselves doesn't happen with a lot of men. It doesn't happen with a lot of men. This is another reason why women live much longer than men. Did you know that? It's so crazy to me, but it's really mind blowing that a lot more women live longer than men. And one of the there's several reasons, but one of the reasons is this very topic. Men don't have a lot of deep connections outside of the relationship with their spouse. On the other hand, women, we have our pockets of friends where we have a lot of deep talks. And so if and when the spouse passes away, women still live. I think it's still like 20 something years longer than the man. I think it's like 20 something years. But if the woman dies first, the man dies shortly after if he does not have a stable social environment. I thought that was fascinating. That's fascinating to me because you could live longer just by having a stable social circle. I had no idea. So Emotional safety, being able to open up, being able to share yourself, being able to showcase yourself to your friendship circles, to your partner is that important. You feel happier when you can do that with your people. You feel happier, you feel healthier. Okay, so you have to be consistently reliable. The second way to build emotional safety is to avoid dismissing your emotions. What do I mean by that? You know how sometimes you have that feeling in the back of your mind and you're like, nah, I don't know if I want to bring this up right now or what's actually happening. You know, you kind of going through all of this stuff in your head and then you don't say anything. That's the dismissing your emotions part that I'm speaking about. Don't avoid them. When your feelings come up, speak about your feelings, especially but not limited to if your feelings was hurt. If your feelings was hurt, you should say something about your feelings being hurt. Now, what I like to tell my clients is don't just go with the complaint. Go to complain, to speak about the thing that has hurt your feelings, but take a solution on how this thing could not happen again. It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen again, but what it does do is open up the door for an opportunity for a conversation or a collaboration to happen between you and your partner. It doesn't mean that he's going to take and hold on to your solution, but don't just go with the complaint, because when you only go to complain, the defense mechanism of your partner is going to heighten. And guess what? The problem is still going to be there because you didn't take the first step. I ain't talking to him. I'm talking to you because you're here. You have to take the first step. In some cases, not all. If you have an emotionally intelligent man in your life, 9 times out of 10, y'all probably start ping ponging. Okay, so you know what? You didn't like that. So what is it that I can do that's, so we don't have to keep having the same conversation over and over again? It just opens up the door. But don't just go complain and then take a solution, knowing that the solution that you bring may or may not stick. Okay. The third way to build emotional safety is to use nonverbal communication, like eye contact, looking your partner in the eye, nodding like, uh-huh, asking, well, that's verbal communication, excuse me. Nodding, leaning in is nonverbal communication, like turning toward them, like the lean in, but turning toward them. Body language toward them, like if they're over here, right? Then you got body language. You want to lean toward them. So all of these are nonverbal cues to say, I'm here, I'm with you. I'm actually listening. What you have to say is important to me, right? And then there is the rituals. What I mean by that? Creating rituals in order for the two of you to stay connected. Like making sure that you schedule in. I know it ain't sexy, but it needs to happen, especially with so much going on in everybody's lives. Schedule in quality time. Schedule it in. What does that look like? Eating meals together. Maybe it's eating meals together. Maybe it's sitting at the table and or at the couch, putting electronics in a different room on the charger, not even in the same room, getting them out of the way so you can make space to build a connection. Maybe it's getting outside of the house and taking a walk together. Again, leaving your electronics behind and or taking them with you and putting them on silent so you don't get all of those notification bells that's going to interrupt you. And then there is the regular relationship check-ins. This is one of the things that I highly encourage my clients to do. Regular relationship check-ins. So you can see what's working. You can discuss. Well, when I say see, I mean discuss. So the two of you can discuss what's working. Okay, you keep doing that. I really love that. You're right. And both of you are talking about what's working, but you're also talking about the areas that they said that they were work on, but they have yet to start working on those areas, or they're not doing it enough. So there are definitely ways to build emotional safety, creating rituals together, building the connection, making it even deeper. A fifth way is to address conflicts with respect. Instead of going ham and just yelling and screaming, instead of doing that, figure out the thing that is getting under your skin, the topic that you want to have with the person, with your partner. And also this could be with a friend too, because friends get under your skin too, but you still don't want to go and just have a crazy conversation, especially if you deem the relationship that you want to save it and to have and to keep the person in your life. Address the conflict with respect. So, you know what? This has really been getting under my skin. Can we have a conversation about this? Understanding that some other things have to come into play without me going too deep into them, but understand that timing is one of them. Just because you want to have the conversation does not mean that he's ready to have the conversation with you, because maybe his day was horrible, or maybe he has other things on his mind. So just keeping in mind that other things have to come into play. As I already mentioned, don't just go with the problem, go with the problem and a solution. Talk through these things, but address the conflict, address it, but just address it with respect. The more that you think about what you want to say, the better you can articulate it. Just think about that. And sometimes, just sometimes, if you get knocked off or forget the thing that you want to say, I highly encourage you to keep a list of the topics that you want to address, because sometimes you can get, life can happen or emergency, something is just going to knock you off the topic at hand, and now you have your slip of paper and or your electronic in front of you to say, okay, this is going to help me to stay on track. And if you're really sucking at your communication, let's just call a spade a spade. If you really suck at your communication, maybe it's time for you to literally sit down and write this stuff out. And then, in order to address it with respect, say, hey, I've been thinking about this conversation, but every time we talk, I feel like I can't get my thoughts completely out. So I actually wrote everything down. Do you have time to listen to me so we can discuss this? And then if he says yes, right, in a perfect world, he says yes. He says yes. And then you literally read the entire thing and say, only thing that I ask for you to do is just listen without interrupting. So you can get out all of your complete thoughts, everything that you have written down, without you feeling like, I forgot what I was going to say. Or later on, damn it, I should have said this. I forgot. So you don't have to do any of that. If you take some intentional actions before you go and have said conversation. In said conversation, I highly suggest, specifically if you need to write out everything, is to also put a solution in there as well, right? Because I keep saying that. Complaint, go and address the complaints, but you have to bring a solution. That's what's going to get the conversation moving and saying, okay, I hear her. I don't like her solution, but now what can I bring to the table so we can actually stop talking about this conversation? Because truth be told, men be tired of talking about conversations too. We don't give them enough credit for that, but they be tired of talking about the same conversation over and over again. But a lot of us didn't learn these lessons while we were growing up on how to address conflicts with respect, but also how to address them so they can stop coming up. So that's what we're doing. Conflict, but take a solution with you. Okay. Another way to build emotional safety is to own your mistakes. Listen, take accountability for the thing that you have done and or said wrong. It is nothing more unattractive for you to go to the person, for the person to come to you, address you at the on this topic or this thing that you have done, only for you not to take accountability and say, you know what, that damn, I messed up. That was me. That was my fault. And be sincere, but just owning it. I remember I was working with one of my girlfriend. She was a client of mine, and she was telling me how she was trying to decide if she wanted to even stay with her fiance because he would not take accountability for even the smallest of thing that he did. And so she was like, if he can't take accountability for the smallest thing, like what he gonna do when we get married? Mind you, they were engaged. Time went on, the same pattern. They were in therapy. They were working with me. Nothing helped him. And she was just like, no, I got to throw in a towel on this one. I cannot go into a marriage knowing that he can't even take accountability for the small stuff. So just imagine the major stuff that's going to happen in life, in relationship, in love. So she ended it. She ended it. And we all have to take accountability for where we're at. Today, she says she's better off and she made a right decision, and we have to leave it at that. But that not taking accountability really gets under my skin, but it also gets under other people's skin, especially when you know that the other person did it. They know that they did it, but they just be lying for the sake of lying. Take accountability. Say that you are sorry and mean it. Stop doing the thing that you are sorry for. Don't say that you're sorry today and still keep doing the thing. That doesn't help. Okay. The seventh way to build emotional safety is to practice emotional regulation. This one is really big. Before you have a difficult conversation or try to address a subject that really gets under your skin, regulate, your own emotions. So you're not going in there very high pitched and allowing the ugly side of you to surface. Take some deep breaths, say a prayer. I love to say a prayer before I go into anything because listen, I could pop off just like everybody else. But I also know that that does not get you anywhere. That does not solve the problem. That does not allow the person to lean in and want to hear you. It just becomes a big argument battle. And that's not helping anybody. That's not helping to solve anything. That's only adding another layer of issues onto your plate. So before you pop off, before you go and have that difficult conversation, regulate your own emotions. Does that mean whatever that looks like to you? Like I said, maybe it's just some deep breaths in and out, in and out. Maybe it's counting up to 100, whatever it is, so you can regulate your emotions. Also, this is going to help you to think clearer. So when you are going in there and having that conversation, now you can really articulate what it is that you're trying to say to your partner so they can really hear what you're saying versus you just talking in circles. Stick with the facts of what's happening. Use I statements. I didn't like the way this made me feel when you did A, B, and C. I didn't like this. So you have to be able to regulate your emotions. This is one of the things that a lot of men are looking for in a partner because they already say that women are highly emotional. Whether it's true or not is neither here nor there. You can regulate your emotions. You don't have to go in like a little 5-year-old kicking and screaming, literally and figuratively. If you just take some time to calm yourself down, to think about what it is that you want to say before you go, you're already setting yourself up for success. Again, if you need to write some stuff down, take some quick notes in order to keep you on track, do that. Whatever it is that's going to help you to build emotional safety, not only for yourself, but also for him. Not only for this relationship, but all of your relationships. So now where we at? By prioritizing emotional safety, you foster a relationship where you feel seen, where you feel heard, where you feel valued, and all of those things allow you to thrive as an individual as well as with your partner, whether you're in a relationship or not, romantic one. All of these things, being able to create a space of emotional safety will allow you to connect and build deeper emotional relationship and feel like your partner is also heard and understood as well. So that is all I have for you this evening. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I'm Marshawn Olanio. I am a shift relationship strategist and I serve professional Black women. Excuse me, some in my nose. I serve professional Black women who are ready because they are sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're ready to invest in themselves. I help them by using tailored strategies depending on where they are at in order to build thriving, beautiful relationships. If that sounds like something that you need, then reach out to me at marshawn@marshaunolanio.com. I love you guys. Again, thanks so much for being here, and I will see y'all on the live tomorrow. All right now. Bye-bye now.